Okay.
No,
Oh.
don't let the clothing go to your head, okay?
We're
All right.
live and we are going to say hi to all of our friends joining us live here. Welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. This is a special little edition because Senator Tester is wearing a suit coat and a collared shirt, and he's in Washington, D.C. What is happening?
I don't know. The world's going to hell, man. You show up in DC and I guess you got to figure like you got to dress the part. I don't know. I'm not sure that the orange pullover shirt that I wear on the farm, the
Yeah.
three or four that I have, goes quite as well. But it's all right. My hands are clean today. They're not dirty, and
Wow.
we're
Look at
talking to
that.
we're talking to people, and saw some of my old colleagues last night. I saw Bill Cassidy, and I saw Tammy Baldwin, and I saw Jack Reed and visited with them for a while. Saw Mark Warner, so it was good. Yeah, yeah,
Wow. Wow. Did
yeah.
you talk about any politics or just, the weather?
Uh, with those guys, they were God dang phone. With those guys, with Cassidy and Reed and Baldwin were having a fundraiser, separate fundraisers at a restaurant
Okay.
I was at, and they just happened to be there, so I busted it in uninvitedly and gave all three of them kudos because I like all three of those people very much.
Sure.
And then I saw Warner. I had a beer with Warner, and we talked.
Nice.
Then Warner and I talked some politics. So you know,
All right. Well,
but
I will spare everybody my annoying fanfare about the Minnesota Vikings win over the Bears last night, and we'll talk about
that was,
some headlines.
that was a hell of a game. I'm just telling you. JJ McCarthy played pretty damn well. You know,
Ooh, yeah, I liked it. I liked it.
Uh,
Okay, so we've got some stuff to talk about, Senator. Remember back in July when the vice president put a post on X that said a Wall Street Journal story about a birthday letter that
yeah,
the president made for Jeffrey Epstein was bullshit.
yeah,
And then he asked where the letter is, and then the president sued them for $10 billion because he said the letter was non-existent.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
remember all
remember
that?
all
Well,
that.
yeah, so Democrats on the House Oversight Committee came with the receipts yesterday, and they produced this birthday book. And now the White House is denying that, again, that Trump drew the picture, which is a rough outline of a woman's naked body, or that he signed the page. I will say there was also a note from former President Bill Clinton, no accompanying drawing there. There were some other pretty just awful and disgusting images that appeared to just celebrate Epstein's predatory behavior with underage girls. And I will put a link to kind of the full posts, like all of the pages that were released on our Substack later. But what do you make of this?
Well, look, I mean, anybody can forge a signature, I guess, but Donald Trump has a pretty distinct signature. I mean, and I assume it's the signature he uses today was the same one he did whenever he wrote that was like 20 years ago, right? When he did
Yeah.
that. Yeah, look, I think the whole Epstein thing is repulsive, disgusting, and ridiculous. And I think that truthfully, and I'm in DC, and it's interesting how much Epstein comes up now amongst people I'm talking to. It comes up a lot. In fact, just about every conversation. And there's a lot of reasons why they don't want to release the list, I think. But I think the main reason is just who's on it. I think there's probably some pretty notable people on that list, and they don't want to release it because those are donors to campaigns. That's just my guess. And they ought to release it. The truth will set you free.
Yeah, I think we're not done with the big bombshells related to the Epstein files. Meanwhile, we are seeing a walkback from House Speaker Mike Johnson. He told reporters late last week that the president was once an FBI informant in the Epstein case. That was the first time anyone had ever heard that. And then
Mike
Speaker Johnson,
Johnson, Mike Johnson said this.
yeah. Oh, you missed that headline.
Yeah, I missed the headline. And
Okay, okay.
also, what was he? Was he drinking something or what? I mean,
It
really?
was in the Capitol. He clarified yesterday that Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago, and he was willing to help law enforcement. Maybe he didn't get the wording right, but that's like a lot different than being an FBI informant.
Yeah, it's tough to make that mistake without knowing you're making a mistake. But look, these guys are, they're pretty loose with the truth. But I don't know, man. I just it's I don't get it. I mean, they're giving public servants a bad name by just not coming clean and telling the truth. I mean, it just feeds on the lying politician stuff, and it's unfortunate.
But people there are talking about it, like it's come up in your conversations, Epstein.
Epstein absolutely has come up on him. The informant has not come up yet. That's the first I've heard of it.
Yeah.
But hey, this day's still young. But no, Epstein comes up a fair amount as to and I made this statement on a previous podcast or Substack event. People talk about the deep state, and the truth is, I think we may have found it. Because if you're going to protect people by not telling the truth, I don't know, maybe I don't have the definition right, but I think that's part of the deep state.
Yeah. Okay. Supreme Court backed the president again in another emergency request. This is actually the 17th time in a row that they've done this through what's known as the shadow docket. It means it's an urgent decision. They don't always offer an explanation. This time, though, the court is allowing ICE to resume its operations in Los Angeles and basically use racial profiling to target people. A U.S. district judge had stopped the operations based on a lawsuit that said that method violated the Fourth Amendment, which requires law enforcement to have reasonable suspicion before stopping people. Now, this Supreme Court order puts that decision on hold. AG Pam Bondi welcomed the decision. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, who happens to be the first Hispanic to serve on the high court, she issued a dissent that said, quote, "We should not have to live in a country where the government can seize anyone who looks Latino, speaks Spanish, and appears to work a low-wage job." And essentially, she said, Latino Americans really should keep their papers on them at all time now, because otherwise they're going to find themselves being detained and questioned.
So you want to know my opinion? Racial profiling is not the direction we should be going as a nation. This is bullshit. If you want to get rid of the criminals and the people who are horrible people, which I'm all about, then go after the criminals. You don't go after them based on the color of their skin or how they talk. That's bullshit. And I'll say one other thing. My kids came back from Indiana here a couple of weeks ago to Montana to see their son play football at M-Son. And and my son-in-law is Hawaiian, so he looks a little Polynesian. And he went through security at the airport in Indianapolis, and he's wearing shorts and a t-shirt. He looks a little Polynesian. And they said, well, geez, we found something around your privates that we've got to check out. He's wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Okay. And, um, and so my son-in-law said, okay. And they said, we'll take you in the back room. And my son-in-law said, no, if you're going to feel me up, you can feel me up right here in front of everybody, which is what they did. Now, I've got to say that I don't want anybody, I fly Fairmount, and I don't want anybody with a gun or drugs or explosives getting on an airplane. But this is a little bit fucking ridiculous. I'm just going to tell you. And it's happening, as they said, if it can happen to somebody in LA because of racial profiling, it can happen to you for whatever reason. Maybe you're missing 3 fingers on your left hand. That's why they're going to pick you up. I don't know, but this is a bunch of shit. The president said he was going to kick out all the thieves and crooks. That's fine. I mean, I support that. But that doesn't mean you go after everybody, no matter what they look like, if they don't, white with blue eyes. This is bullshit. It's just total
Well,
fucking bullshit.
and if they're going to go after the criminals, why are they going to job sites where people are working? Or
You know,
courts where people are showing up to follow the law.
yeah, I don't know. I don't
So
know.
there's
But
new.
the upshot of that, by the way, of the thing, they never found anything, of course, and there wasn't even an apology given. Just get going, move on. It's just it's become a lot meaner world over the last 8 months, and it's just not right.
Yeah, it is a lot meaner. There's new reporting from NBC that ICE used to have to basically fill out homework, like documentation before an operation where they were planning to arrest undocumented immigrants. That was a requirement. Now NBC is reporting that policy is no more. This is according to officials who spoke to the network. And one of the quotes is, "It's hard to fill out a worksheet that just says meet in the Home Depot parking lot."
It's look, the transparency in government is important. We'll go back to the deep state if you want. I mean, truth is that they ought to be uh, continue to justify what they're doing. It should be in writing and continue to move forward. Look, I am not. Um, uh, I'm not going to criticize the job that ICE has to do when it comes to getting rid of people who are the criminals out there that are happen to be here, but that they've gone far beyond that, and so justify what you're doing.
Okay, did you see, you didn't see the FBI informant story. Did you see the Apocalypse Now movie poster that the president put out last week? Okay, here we
Geez,
go.
I'm sorry, Maurice, you're
You're
making me
striking
feel
out.
pretty inadequate. I
Well,
would
you've
have
been farming and you've been traveling. It's okay.
yeah, sure.
So, so in Chicago, ICE started a new mission that's called Operation Midway Blitz. And this is after this post that the president shared last week. The White House reshared it, and it said "Shy Apocalypse Now," and it has him looking like Robert Duvall's character from the movie Apocalypse Now, and it says the caption, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning. Chicago about to find out why it's called the Department of War." Of course, JD Pritzker is not too happy about this.
Yeah, so you got me at a big disadvantage because I never even saw the movie Apocalypse. I can't even say it. Apocalypse Now. Okay, so
Well, you
uh,
never saw Star Wars.
I know I didn't see Star Wars. I've lived a very, very
Sheltered life.
yeah, exactly. So uh, I guess what I would say to that is that this isn't a game. It's not a movie. It's real life. And as a podcast said the other day, we should not be accepting what's going on here as being normal or being out, as being something that's acceptable. This is it's unfortunate. And look, look, the president comes from the entertainment business, and I think a lot of people look at him as an entertainer, not as president. But these are people's lives, and it's not entertainment. It's real. And and you ought to be working with law enforcement at the local level and at the state level. You ought not to be running over the top of them. Look, I'm here in Washington D.C. where the National Guard is, and I'll be honest with you. Everybody I've talked to, I've seen them around the monuments, but they're not in the places where there's high crime. The National Guard, to everybody I've talked to here, said they're not there. They're picking up garbage around the Lincoln Memorial and planting flowers over here and there. Nice guys doing a nice job. Probably wondering why they're here. But it's just kind of an interesting time. That's all. Because the truth is that if you really want to make these communities safer, you invest in mental health treatment, which they pulled money out of. You invest in law enforcement training, so you got people on the streets that really understand their job. These guys weren't trained in law enforcement; they're military people, a different job entirely. And and so and plus the cost has got to be. I mean, Doge came in and cut all this stuff, supposedly saved all this money. I guarantee you, the money that they're putting out for the guardsmen is far more than what they would have done if they just hired more cops on the beat.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if it let us know back if you talk to any of the National Guard guys and gals who might be there. Let us know if you talk to them, any of them, what they say.
I might, if I can get some time, I might just stop out and see them. I'm in a very, very safe part of the town. I'm about 3 or 4 blocks from the Hart Building, not far from where I used to live up here, actually. And it's there this place has a lot of policemen, so maybe there isn't many guardsmen here, but it's just kind of crazy. And so what I would recommend is appreciate and respect the local government and the state government and work with those folks to make their community safer, because I guarantee you Governor Pritzker wants to make the state safer, but he wants to do it in a way that doesn't intimidate people, but holds the criminals accountable. And that's what they should be doing.
Yeah, or threatening war. Okay, I know you have to hop. I will save you from one more. Well, no, let's just say it. Like, go Vikings. Want to know? We'll just, let me have my moment because it will end in catastrophic failure for my team by the end of the season. But we are releasing later today, our chat with former Washington Governor Jay Inslee. We're going to talk about some environmental projects he's working on, and so look for that later today.
So not to bring Seattle Steve back into it, but you and him also have something in common. And he has been a lifelong, very disturbed Vikings fan. From the days of
Steve,
the
your
yeah,
best friend, Steve?
yeah, from the days of going to the Super Bowl like 12 years in a row and never winning. Yeah, I mean he was even a fan then. So it's all good. All right,
It's a
guys.
lifetime of
Now,
misery. All right, thanks.
Vikings played a hell of a game, and my former chief of staff's on suicide watch because he's a Bears fan and he thought they had it won. Anyway, talk to you
All
later.
right. Bye, Senator.
Bye.
That's it.